It's been another interesting week, to say the least, in Labour's socialist Britain. Keir Starmer said the government's so skint that October's budget is going to be painful for people who work hard.
I will be honest with you. There is a budget coming in October, and it's going to be painful. We have no other choice, given the situation that we're in. Those with the broadest shoulders should bear the heavier burden.
Call me naive, but instead of robbing hard-working British taxpayers to fill their coffers, why doesn't the government just address the most pressingly obvious financial issues first? Like, for example, this damning revelation today that record numbers of migrants living in Britain are jobless, with more than 1.6 million unemployed or economically inactive. That's according to the government's own data. The situation is costing taxpayers an estimated £8 billion a year and covers people aged between 16 and 64 who were born overseas and have the right to live in the UK, but does exclude students and asylum seekers. Or, meanwhile, maybe Labour could consider scrapping the £11.6 billion, yes, that's right, £11.6 billion, in overseas climate aid we're sending to the likes of Africa, all while China builds the equivalent of 4 coal power stations a week. Now, Ed Miliband says the money proves we're a global leader in fighting climate change, but when our total global emissions are around just 1% of the world's total, why should British taxpayers burden the load? Or maybe, to save even more money, we could perhaps relook at the Prime Minister's pledge to send £3 billion a year to Ukraine for as long as it takes. His words, not mine. Does that mean decades, Mr Starmer? Are we talking about an endless, bottomless pit of taxpayer money here? Or maybe, perhaps, the government should have thought again about splurging £14 billion on those public sector pay rises. Massive pay hikes for doctors, train drivers and every man and his dog. And astonishingly, I spotted this week that the government is paying for 5,000 empty hotel rooms night after night, just in case we get an even bigger surge of illegal migrants than we're already having. Listen to this astonishing revelation from Second Permanent Secretary Simon Ridley, who leads our migration and border system. It stunned MPs during a Public Accounts Select Committee meeting this week.
Secondly, we're making sure we've got a buffer of as close to 5,000 beds as we can have, so that we've always got an outflow. So we're carrying a large number of empty beds in order to let us move people out. But then, crucially,
sorry, can I just stop you there? So these 5,000 beds that you're keeping empty just in case, these are additional hotel beds, are they? In the southeast?
Across the country.
Just to be clear, they're hotel rooms. They're not Nightingale hospitals or barges, they're hotel rooms.
They're hotel rooms with beds.
You've got 5,000 beds available in case you have a huge number of people coming through Manston.
So we've aimed to have a buffer there. It is less than that at the moment because an awful lot of people arrived over the weekend.
You're paying for them all the time. You're not on standby, not on a 48-hour standby.
People came through.
They're not on a 48-hour standby or anything. You're paying for them all the time in case.
So we have got excess beds that we are paying for, that we can move people into immediately.
So, sorry, you've got 5,000 beds you are paying for just in case you need them. Is that what you're telling me?
It's fewer than that now, but we are keeping a buffer of hotel beds so that if people arrive, we can move people out of Manston and maintain the turning people around in 24 hours.
OK, look, I was never that good at maths, but let's be generous and say each hotel room costs £50 a night. That's £250,000 a day on empty hotel rooms, or £91 million a year. Goodness me. Meanwhile, our towns are starting to resemble something akin to San Francisco. Homeless encampments are steadily growing in London, at least, like this one I've been watching week after week in mega-wealthy Park Lane. Now, if you don't know, Park Lane is perhaps the most expensive area in the country, let alone London. I drive past the tents every day. I'm in the capital. So today I took the opportunity to pop down there and try and speak to the occupants and find out exactly who they were. Sorry to bother you. Have you got 2 minutes for a quick chat? We just want to know if the government are doing enough to help you and get accommodation. Don't want to talk? Don't speak English. Are you getting help from government or
nothing, bro?
Nothing. Do you need help? Romania? Bulgaria. Is the government helping you to get accommodation?
No.
Do you want more help?
I don't parle English, bro.
Don't speak English. Okay. Thank you. Sorry to bother you. So there's about 20 tents here, a little community of people. We just spoke to that gentleman there who said he's from Bulgaria but doesn't speak English. And when I did try and speak to the guys over there, they're all sat down playing cards. Interestingly enough, on the table, big stacks of meat. So pork chops, lamb chops from a supermarket, not yet cooked. A couple of those over there, I think, suggested they were Romanian, but yeah, not too keen to talk, unfortunately. I later understood that many of those people are here on temporary visas, so they will be part of the 1.6 million unemployed or economically inactive that's reported to be costing taxpayers the £8 billion a year. And if we're paying, by the way, for 5,000 empty hotel rooms each day, can't those people simply just use those beds and have a warm roof over their head instead of slumming it in London? And finally, I'd also suggest, politely, that those encampments are more of a public health risk than a cheeky cigarette in the back of a pub's garden. Reaction now from broadcaster and lawyer Andrew Eborn, political analyst Dr Roger Giewold and TV personality Precious Muir. Precious, I'll start with you. Good evening. Plenty of money to be saved by the Labour government, so why aren't they going after those who work the hardest?
Well, I just think that what's going on at the moment is absolutely insane. So we just obviously watched that video, and those people are in the middle of where, obviously Hyde Park is, and they're not being moved on. I don't understand why they're actually able to stay there. I think
TfL, who owns the land, Transport for London, they are applying to get them kicked off.
Yeah, but it's been a while. They've been there for a very long time.
They have. I mentioned it. I drive past it every day, so do many other GBNews presenters and contributors, and week after week it seems like there's maybe one more tent this week, and then the next week...
Wow, it's insane. And it's hard to... you can't really see which ones are, because, like, you ask them, where are they from? Who are UK citizens and who are, obviously, from overseas? So it's kind of like a bundle. I don't know if you walk through stations, there's loads of stations. You can't really tell which one are UK citizen homeless people and which one are illegal immigrants. It's really quite hard for, I think, maybe the government and the police to kind of regulate. I'm not sure.
Yeah. Well, lots of them will be legal, Andrew, because they've come here, as I understood, on temporary visas, so I think they can work. I did ask, are you working? Are you looking for a job? And they didn't seem to be. But they did have stacks of supermarket meat.
Oh, it's quite extraordinary. And what I find amazing, firstly, you find 50 quid a hotel room. That's not right. It's probably going to be close to 100.
That's me being very generous.
You're being very generous indeed. So it's actually 500,000. The figures from the Centre for Migration Control say it's 8.5 billion annually. And you're right. You look at those sort of figures, it's absolutely crazy. And to have those hotel rooms that are absolutely empty is nonsense. What I love about this programme, BLT, is that you shine a spotlight and have more light and less heat on these issues. Because if you look at the stats, you talk to the people there concerned, they didn't look uncomfortable and so on and so forth. I don't know what their story is. And you're working on that sort of basis. It's nonsense to have them there. I live just around the corner from Park Lane, as you know.
Oh, look at you. Someone's earning.
Oh, I am. A fortune. GBNews paid me a fortune. That's why I'm in the centre. But you look at that sort of thing. Behind every single one of those people, there's a story.
Yes.
And you look at that sort of basis. We need to work out where good people paying their taxes, where that money is going. And if you don't shine a spotlight on it, talking about £100 a day is what I would suggest per hotel room. It's an absolute nonsense.
Roger, you're good with money and the economy. Am I being naive in just suggesting, you're giving £11 billion in foreign climate aid to Africa, you're spending £3 billion a year on Ukraine, you're spending £90 million a year on empty hotel beds? What am I missing here? Am I looking at it too simplistically?
Well, these are all things that Labour should have been complaining about when they were the loyal opposition, but they stayed stum. And they are manifesting exactly the same useless inefficiency that the Tories have done for many years. I mean, it's just complete wastage. It's not their money, so they don't need to worry about it. They don't really take the responsibility seriously. But each of these items that you've mentioned is just a waste of money. People are going to argue about Ukraine, but the school is growing that it's too late for them to win the war. And so this money is just going down the drain. But whether that's the case or not, it's just unbelievable that they're opening prisons and letting people go to put people who post on Facebook in their cells instead. They just got, I thought that the Tories had their priorities wrong, but I think Labour is in hot pursuit.
Precious, what's your view of the first sort of 55 days, however long it is, of this Labour government?
I mean, I'm not too, thrilled about it at all. I mean, it's not like they're doing any dramatic changes. They're more concerned about cigarettes than they are, women and children being
quite
hurt.
dramatic. I mean, scrapping the winter fuel allowance, potentially upping capital gains tax in October to 45%. I mean,
That's crazy. VAT on school fees. It's Starmageddon, as we predicted. I can guarantee people, the honeymoon period's already finished. I can guarantee we have an election today, Starmer would not get back in.
Roger, do you agree with that sentiment?
Well, yeah, I mean, only 20% of us elected them in the first place. It was really not Sunak more than voting for Labour.
That's right.
That caused this.
Yeah.
They've claimed it's a landslide victory. It's not. We're going to be speaking about Priti Patel in a moment. I mean, I just don't think any of the contenders are qualified. If any of them had any real leadership qualities, they would have emerged while the Tories were in power and done something before their party was destroyed and the country along with it.
Okay, well, look, as I said, maybe I'm just naive or silly with numbers, or, don't get it. But when we're sending 11 billion for overseas climate aid, you've got Ukraine, you've got empty hotel beds, how can you then, and also, by the way, splashing on public sector pay rises, how can you then complain there's a £20 billion black hole? I don't know.